The games begin. I went to the lunch and yesterday for Army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good when it works, but
Yep.
bad when it doesn't.
Why should
We're going to call the meeting in order at 6 p.m. Reggie, can you provide information on how to participate and comment?
Yeah, I can take care of that. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is available on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org, and we also have printed copies in the back. For any remote commenters, you will be muted until it is your turn to speak. And for in-person attendees, please keep phones muted and any conversations to a minimal, just to prevent audio interference, as that's something that we're ongoing tracking. And thank you all for participating in your city government.
Parker, can you take roll call?
Yes. Aguajita Oaks. Present. Alta Mesa.
Here.
Thank you. Casa Nova Oak Knoll.
Here.
Deer Flats. Here. Del Monte Beach.
Here.
Thank you. Here. Thank you. Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande.
Here.
Downtown.
Online. Here. Sorry.
Thank you. Fisherman's Flats. Here. Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista.
Here.
New Monterey.
Here.
Thank you. Oak Grove.
Yeah.
Old Town.
Here.
Skyline. And Villa Del Monte.
Here.
Thank you, Committee Member Johnson. So since we did not receive your address beforehand, we will need to go through just cause for you, and this is your second of 2 just causes of the year. For Committee Member Johnson, have you been able to hear the proceedings so far into this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
And could you provide a brief description of the just cause for you needing to appear remotely? This could be for family, emergency, business, or health reasons.
Family.
Thank you. And is anyone over the age of 18 with you in the room?
No.
And then can everyone in the room clearly hear Committee Member Johnson? All right, thank you. And with that, we have quorum.
So we'll move on to general public comments. So this is a call for public comments on matters not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the NCIP. So I'll ask those here in the room to raise their hand if they'd like to make a comment. Those on Zoom, go ahead and raise your hand as well. I just see one hand here. Any on Zoom?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, so we will ask the speaker to come up and make a public comment. We'll do 3 minutes.
Is that on now?
There we go.
Yep. I'm Gina Sessions, speaking for myself today. As I was listening to the end of last committee meeting, I was surprised, but not really, but disappointed at the decision that the city was making about the suggestion that we forward to them for our budget commitment. And I would just like to remind folks that there are other options. When we went to the city council meeting, or the city council asked the NCIP representatives how they wanted to address the shortfall, there were the 2 options of taking away from projects that exist and looking at projects in 25, 26. And I would just like to note that there are a number of ways in the current existing budget, not the 25, 26 projects, that actually could help to meet an obligation to the city, which I totally support. I believe the NCIP should put forward some funds to meet the city deficit. But there are lots of money that really are more flexible than going directly to projects. And in my estimation, and I don't have like the up-to-date city budgets, but in my estimation, those, I don't know, 1.5 million with the undergrounding funds that are quite high and don't have an immediate use, those could possibly be forwarded and repaid through another subsequent year since the 26-27 option was chosen. Also, there are submissions that weren't approved by the city council the first time around that are coming back in that could provide another $800 or $900,000 of savings for this year. Not that they would never go, because we do have the 26-27 budget to think about how we want to deal with it. Also, there is the projects, I've said this before, so it's not new. The projects that are being approved in 25-26 do not have to be executed in 25-26. Since the 26-27 option wasn't chosen, they could be deferred and free up money to again give to the city the kind of funding they need to meet a very important deficit. I just want to put that on the table, and I know we'll have it later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comment. Move on to informational reports and staff comments. So I will turn it over to city staff for presentation of informational reports, if any.
Yes, we have a couple informational reports. So the first one is to recognize the new members on the NCIP committee from last night's city council session. So we have 4 new members, all alternates. We have George McNeely from Del Monte Beach.
Everybody.
George.
Hey, Diane Solomani from Fisherman Flats. Issei Lopez Navarez from Oak Grove, and Taylor Dinehart from Skyline. And then the returning members, three returning members, Joseph Hill, alternate for Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, and then Amanda from Glenwood, and Abe Overton is back in the representative seat for Deer Flats. And one other item for everyone's information. So there is a project NCP 2515, which is the Solicito Field Lights and Poles project. That one is going to go to City Council. They're December 2nd or 16th, which is the next meeting or the meeting after next, for contract award and for a request for an additional 10% contingency fund. And the reason we're going to City Council for the additional 10% contingency is, as if everyone remembers, we're getting rid of the contingency account. And in order to keep everything clean, and for accounting and for everyone's information, we're bringing these types of projects to City Council for appropriation of additional funds, where in the past, the money would have just been requested through finance and taken out of the contingency account. But we're not doing that anymore because that fund's going away. So that will be all, I don't know exactly which meeting, but pay attention and look out for that December 2nd or 16th, whichever one it gets on. And along those lines, the finance department is also preparing an agenda report. They're going to present on the closing out the funds, the contingency and ending balance. And they're also going to present a draft report that we'll have for the NCIP committee on a quarterly basis that will document the amount of money in the NCIP fund, with a couple of line items, which will also include the amount of interest that's accrued on a quarterly basis. And that'll be coming in a future meeting as well. And that's it for staff report.
Any committee questions on staff report? Okay.
We do have one online. Go ahead, Kurt, if you have a question.
Yeah, I did. So Reggie, when you're saying you're going to city council and requesting 10% contingency, that contingency is still coming out of NCIP funds, correct? Or no?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next section, which is NCIP informational reports. I did want to make a comment and really just a gentle reminder as it relates to Brown Act violations and specifically with emails. So just a reminder that these violations can happen even if it's not the committee member who starts the conversation. So for example, a member of the public emails a committee member and they happen to email a number of committee members, all of the committee, if there are blind copies on that email, if there's responses going back and forth, that can inadvertently result in a Brown violation. So in general, it's recommended not to respond to the sender, especially if it has something to do with a proposal, a vote, or a decision that the committee has to make during a meeting. Unfortunately, if there is a violation found, it could result in committee members not being able to vote on a certain topic. So again, gentle reminder that even though you're not the one that's necessarily starting the conversation, it still can kind of get messy and end up being a risk of having some violations. So that was the only comment that I wanted to make. So we can go ahead and move on to our first public appearance item, agenda item number 2, NCIP committee project nominations, potential conflicts, and I'll hand this off to city staff to introduce them.
Yes, okay, thank you. So what you have in item number 2 are potential conflicts. So I've had a couple people approach me with questions. So the way this works is I went through the various projects and everyone's residence address. If you live within 500 feet of a project, which is identified here, then essentially you're prohibited from voting. You have to recuse yourself. If you live within 1,000 feet of a project, then you have a decision to make on whether or not the project will have a material impact on your property value. If that's the case, then you're supposed to recuse yourself. However, so it's an individual decision at the 1,000 foot. Beyond 1,000 foot, there's no need to, document or note. So the ones that, and then the other caveat is if you do not own the property, then this is also irrelevant. So if we have renters or such, then then it's also irrelevant. It's only if you own your property and there's a material, I assume positive impact on your property, then you would have to recuse yourself. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 projects that are within 500 feet of someone's residence. And those are identified on the list. And this would have the impact on voting night. But if anyone has any questions about a specific project or how the calculation was done, I'm here to answer those questions.
Are there any committee member questions? We will close committee member questions and call for public comment. So is there anyone in the public who would like to make a comment on this? Please raise your hand Anyone online? Please raise your hand.
No hands raised online.
Okay, I see no one here in the library, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. And then any discussion from NCIP members?
So for those people who have a conflict, and a representative or step back and an alternate vote who is not just step in for that particular for only that vote and step in and take over the voting on that? And how does that exactly work?
That is what we've done in the past. So as I said, there's what, 6 of the 5 within 500 feet, which are prohibited from voting. So historically, in the past, we've done those votes first. To get those quote unquote out of the way, and then we have the rest of the voting. So I imagine we can do and then some of these are alternates too, right? So
Yeah.
that's another item. So the ones like downtown 03, person within 500 feet is a downtown alternate.
But the question is, do you want to do it first, or do you want to just switch real quickly as we're going through the vote? This vote, so-and-so can't be there, switch seats, vote, go back. I don't know.
I guess that's up to committee to decide, but historically, I said we've done all of the ones that are prohibited first, and then we move on.
Yeah.
We do have one online as well, Committee Member Tipton. Committee Member Tipton, you can speak.
Yeah, for DTO3, the alternate, she's running. So it's not really a conflict for her. Okay, thanks.
Dennis?
Can we get an update on the list? Because I don't know if he is a conflict or not.
Well, as soon as we get the representatives' information or alternates information, we can update the list. We don't currently have that as of yet.
We have plenty of time between now and then.
Are there any other discussions from committee members? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. This is NCIP Committee Second Review of Projects, First Half of Neighborhoods, which include Alta Mesa, Monterey Vista. So I'll hand it off to Reggie.
Okay, thank you. And we'll do similar as we did last week's presentation. We'll go neighborhood by neighborhood. We'll stop and then allow the representative to add information, no discussion, and then we'll go on to the next neighborhood. Then we'll have the committee discussion, public comment, and then committee discussion, questions, and then, yeah. Okay, so let me pull it up. Okay, so just to recap, this cycle, 25-26, we received 73 project nomination forms by July 31st. To date, 17 projects have been withdrawn or found not valid or combined. So we're currently reviewing at this point 56 project nominations with voting night on December 17th. So in the first half of neighborhoods, we have 26 projects at this point, with the majority in Casanova, Oak Knoll, downtown, Del Monte Beach, those 3 neighborhoods. So in Alta Mesa, we have AM01, which is a project at Lagunita Mirada Park, Lagunita Mirada Park, which improvements include resurfacing the decomposed granite pathway through the park, weed control and landscaping, and restoring the lake, including reed removal. We have some photos that were provided by the project applicant, and there's more in your book. It shows the path and the state of the lake. So what I've done, and you'll see here, is I've tried to go through and provide some information on the complexity of the project, along with a very, very, very rough estimate as was requested. So this project is in that high complexity category for a number of reasons. It will be difficult to implement, but before we even get to implementation, there's multiple levels of permitting and design that we would have to go through, both state and federal agencies to permit this project. And I'll open it up to the Alta Mesa rep if you had anything to add.
I'm a little stunned at the price tag on it. I wasn't anticipating it would be that high, but you know better than, you've done it before, so I'm sure you have a good basis for that. We did reach out to Parks, and at the appropriate time later in the meeting, hopefully they can also bring some information as to the complexity of the project and the work that would need to be done on the pond, so.
Okay. So move on to Casanova Oak Knoll. There's 7 projects. So we have Casanova Avenue traffic speed reduction. So the applicant requested various traffic calming measures, including speed bumps and increased police enforcement. So the one item that was listed that the NCIP committee can take on would be an installation of radar speed signs at roughly $25,000 per sign. So that would come out, if we did our standard 2 at a location, would be roughly $50,000. I put this at medium complexity simply because it turns out to be difficult to find a location for these signs and to get neighbor buy-in and support for that. There's 5 projects within the Casanova Oak Knoll Park itself. We'll go through them one at a time. The water fountain, I'd say this is a low complexity item at roughly $8,000 for one of these water fountains, purchase and installation. Casanova Oak Knoll 4, which was basketball and hard court resurfacing. I'd put that at medium complexity level and somewhere in the $200,000 range. And then project COK05, new garbage and recycling bins, receptacles. These are roughly $2,000 a piece. So if we did, you can do the math. 2, it's 4, 3, it's 6. COK06, new gates around the playground. Again, rough math. Did some quick online searches this afternoon. These are in the $1,700 range. COK07, calisthenics, gym equipment installation in the park. The applicant identified a roughly 60 by 60 foot area. This could be somewhere in the $125,000 to $250,000 range, depending on the type of equipment and whether or not one of the issues in this part of the park is that if we put it on a pad, the pad would have to be leveled. There's a bit of a slope. So this is one of the considerations. A lower price project would include individual pieces of equipment that were on their own stands. So there's some different types of equipment we could do here. And then COK08 would be to rehabilitate the City of Monterey entry sign. And this type of project is roughly, depending on some complexities, but it's a low complexity project and roughly $25,000.
I was able to make contact with the submitter of the traffic speed reduction measures, CK01. He has basically narrowed down the project again to the radar speed signs. He said that there was not a sign on the downhill side, but I did see one the other day. I've got mixed reports. I saw both signs along on both sides working. Then I was told they weren't working the same day, shortly after I saw them working. So I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if it's not registering everybody's car or not. So I don't know if there's a way to check that, but I have seen them both working. And then I was told they were not working roughly around a half-hour period in between. So speeding is an issue, especially on the downhill side. So
Right, just, we actually do, we program them, if they're going speed limit or less, they usually stay dark.
okay,
And then if you go a little faster, that's when they come on, so it could be.
that's probably what's happening.
Speech.
He was testing it.
Now, I'm not gonna say I was driving, so the person who was telling me they weren't working, they're just driving too slow. And he did have a question about the traffic study that was done in 2002. He doesn't understand why it's so old and if it's even relevant anymore. So just wanted to throw that out there because I kind of had the same question as well. I don't know the lifetime of a traffic study.
So, yes, I'm gonna date myself, I was there when they were doing it. And, so one of the big challenges that we had is when we were going to install curb extensions and medians, a lot of folks didn't want to lose their house, which is understandable. And so we went to things that are less intrusive, like radar speed signs. So there's still value in the curb extensions and medians. I think it is really just trying to find people that would be okay with that installation. We can always look at it again, but I have to warn you that it is not a cheap process. Usually we do use a consultant so that the person comes and they do vehicle count, speed information. You get a really good picture of what's happening on your street and what segments have the worst speeding. So if you want to, that would be a new proposal for a project.
Okay, I will let him know that. And then as you saw, majority of the projects are in the park. It kind of shows the importance of the park to our neighbors. Especially since our park center is not open, we really can only utilize the outside park area. Again, COK3, which is the dog fountain. I have talked to a couple people and they're all kind of grossed out by the fact that dogs have been seen drinking from the human drinking fountain. A way to maybe, I don't know if the 8K was for the full one like shown there, but another option is just having the lower dog fountain plumbed in somehow, and that would probably be a little bit cheaper. I don't think the submitter, and I can check with her, but I don't think she has a desire one way or other, so long as the dog has a separate fountain, human drinking fountain. COK4, the resurfacing. Again, I just think we would get more use out of the basketball and handball court if it were a smoother surface. It is quite rough, and both children and adults have made comments about falling on that and the risk. Very slick. And it's not a huge area, but I do understand the complexity of resurfacing that, but it would probably assist in it being used a little bit more. COK5 is the trash cans. Even one of the new trash cans would help. I saw the staff note about the recycling. It is my submittal, so I can withdraw the recycle part of it and just keep it with the trash cans. I saw a note that the recycle bins pose a hazard to park staff. COK6, which is the gates. I believe we were talking about the lighting being more of a maintenance issue rather than an improvement. So that part, I guess, is taken off the table. I did get some information today that the last time the gates were there were probably in 2019. There were gates there and they were broken shortly after they were installed. That was around 19 and they've never been replaced. Again, there's quite a few dogs in that area and there are small children that use that playground mostly. So I understand the concern of the parents with the dogs going into it, as well as children running out into the street before the parent can get to them. So I do believe this one is an important project. And again, POK 07, that would be nice to have adult recreation equipment. Even if it's just some of the equipment right now, other than the basketball court, we really only have the playground equipment for the kids. So the addition of even a few of it, if I can talk to the submitter more about it, if it can be scaled down a little bit, but it would be nice to have some. I don't know that we need that pad per se for some of the equipment as I'm looking at the example that she included. But again, I can get more information about that, seeing the price tag of it and the fact that now that you said it, it does need to be leveled. I do know it needs to be leveled out there if we do a pad like that. So I can talk more to her about that. And the street signs, like I said, the last meeting, I didn't know it was there. I now know it's there. It's not real visible. It doesn't stand out as much as the entry sign coming in from the seasides.
Okay, thank you. There are no projects in Deer Flats and there's 5 in Del Monte Beach. So Del Monte Beach 01 is to install stair railing at the boardwalk stairs at that intersection of Surf and Tide. And medium to high complexity, this has some permitting issues and requirements that would have to go to the Coastal Commission, for example, and you just have to see. Installing recycling and cigarette receptacles. This is a low complexity project, but as the representative from Casanova Oak Knoll just identified, there is some concern for staff safety when dealing with different receptacles and removing items. Del Monte Beach 03, the take a toy, leave a toy box. This is a relatively inexpensive item, but again, there's concern about, in this case, public safety and what could be left behind and whether or not staff would have to monitor the box and, police it. And, we just, there's a reluctance to deal with this item. Del Monte Beach 04, this project has been revised. The person that nominated this project had identified using speed bumps for traffic control, traffic calming, but they've since revised it to identify bulb outs along Surfway and Beachway for traffic calming. So this price tag is roughly $125,000. Again, these tend to be difficult projects, as Public Works Director just identified, right? Because of the potential loss of parking in front of people's houses. So everywhere there's a bulb out, you would probably lose at least one parking spot, for everyone's information. Del Monte Beach 05, split rail fencing along the boardwalk. This work is more or less already been done. As we said last week, we had the Presidio craft workers when the federal government shutdown was taking place. We had the opportunity to have those crews come down and help out at Del Monte Beach, and they restored the cabling along the beach as well as added split rail fencing at the table areas and seating areas along the boardwalk. So I would recommend considering deploying this project. And those are the 5 Del Monte Beach projects.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to speak to those real briefly. So Del Monte Beach, just for everyone's awareness, is a highly trafficked area, a lot of tourists, a lot of visitors, especially on the weekends, but it's all the time, especially along these steps down to the beach. So it's this is, not just our neighborhood, this is definitely a community and city consideration. And so when it comes to the hand railing idea, DMV 01, it's a really good idea. You can see this, the steps are fairly steep and uneven. And there's people of all ages up and down these steps, small kids, elderly with canes, walkers and all these things. I live real close to these stairs. So it's definitely a project I would encourage the committee to consider funding, even though there's a little complexity. I have to get the postal commission to get a sign off on something. What do you know what that would be?
Yeah, we would have to submit all the plans and get their approval.
Okay. Yeah, so I think anything to do, that close to the ocean is going to deal with the coastal commission. So it comes up every time anything happens over there. So, but I encourage the committee to really consider that as an important project. It did come up number one in our community survey as well. So that was the most important project. Of the neighborhood over there. Number two is, I think it was the recycling bin and a cigarette receptacle. Again, I'd really encourage the committee to consider voting yes on that as well, because again, with so many visitors, so many people come to that beach and basically hang out, do whatever. Smoking is a pretty big activity over there. So it'd be good to have a program to manage the cigarette butts. There's already cigarette butt receptacles over there and they're managed by someone else, surf riders or something. So it's any help there would be really, I think, a benefit to the city. Because again, there's so many visitors and if people are walking over cigarette butts, et cetera, that may not be the we want to set. The take a toy, leave a toy idea. So this is a common strategy in many beach communities because families come to the beach on the weekends, they stop at Walmart. On the way into town, they get a bunch of, plastic shovels and pails. And when they're done, it's still there on the beach when they leave. So, so this would allow a little place where it could all go, and then also it could be reused and kids could play with it and then it could go back in that receptacle, hopefully. And if a lot of people walk those beaches to clean up and pick up plastic and they have a place to put the toys that they found. Because usually when I find the toys and pick them up, I have to put them in the trash. So that's another background on that. It seems like a pretty fluffy idea, but it probably won't cost much money. And since the neighborhood is so bought in, I think we can get enough people to patrol it and work at the city on it. So that's in terms of city staff considerations. And then the traffic calming bulb out, that was the lowest priority. And then 5, I guess that work is already happening. I mean, it's, yes.
Okay, so then Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, there's no nominated projects this round. We have 12 projects in downtown. So Hartnell Gulch Bridge, pedestrian barrier upgrades. Again, keep in mind, these numbers are rough. Probably have to take a second look at this one, but right now, $200,000, some high complexity. Again, working over a waterway. Probably would need some permitting and definitely have to consider that the waterway underneath. Hartnell Gulch Creek rehabilitation and park improvements, in permitting requirements. This project roughly $350,000. The Calle Principal bike path connection from Rec Trail up to Pacific Street, $250,000 plus, somewhere in that neighborhood. Replace solar panels at 735 Pacific Street, the city of Monterey office building. It's a low complexity project, somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000. Pearls, this project has been combined, DTO 5 and 06, combined at the project nominator's request. But DTO 5 is bike lane, 500, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. DTO 7, library improvements, including ADA compliance, community resilience, a generator, archival archival room upgrades and such. $750,000 project, high complexity again, because trying to do these improvements and keep the facility open and operational at the same time adds some complexity. Old Fisherman's Wharf corner boat display. Again, this is to replace the boat. Again, this afternoon, I did some quick research, seeing what it would cost to buy a like 1950s vintage boat somewhere. There's some available in the $150,000 range. But then, there's some in the $2 million range. So, but this is a low complexity project. DTO 9, rehab, clear, widen, decomposed granite walkway, low complexity, $100,000 project. Okay, so the applicant that submitted DT 10 specifically requested that this be brought up and discussed at the meeting this evening. So this project is deemed to not be eligible for the NCIP process, in that this is a city decision, it's an operational decision. The Dennis the Menace statue was stolen, the bronze statue was stolen twice, as I understand it, from the Dennis the Menace Park.
3 times.
Or stolen it was stolen multiple times. It was luckily recovered each time, but with some considerable effort, I would say. And the statue is now, there's one statue that's locked inside of the sports center, and there's another one inside of the Elistero Park Center. There's a replica statue at Dennis the Menace Park. The city has made a decision to not return the bronze statue, and we don't feel that this is, it's not something that, the NCIP can nominate, or a person can nominate for the NCIP to decide and vote on. If this is a city council decision in a city, management. Downtown 11, reinstall welcome to historic Old Monterey sign. It's a low complexity project. Again, sign projects roughly in the $25,000 range. This would be low complexity because this is within the city right away. It's a city owns property. You can install a sign. Some of the high complexity sign projects are the ones that are within Caltrans right away, for example. Downtown 12, Elistero Park Center, facility improvements. Again, somewhere 750,000 to $1 million. We won't really know until we start the process. High complexity, again, just with the whole idea of maintaining operations at a facility and doing work at the facility at the same time. Hartnell Creek Park enhancements and reparations project. Now this high complexity, the reason I have the $4 signs is because I imagine it's going to be expensive for what the applicant is requesting, but I have not had a chance to evaluate the cost of the items. So just again, we have the current photos of the current area, and then kind of some of the things of what that person had envisioned. So a park area improvements with the area seating area and some other plaques with information on them, and AV equipment potentially as well. Downtown 15, Elistero Park barbecue area to replace the picnic tables and resurface with a new concrete pad. It's a low complexity project, roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of $125,000. And I think that's the last downtown project. So, I don't know, Kurt, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. just a couple of things. I think I went through most of them last time. But I did want to read about the display boat. There was a submitted comment and I'll just read it. My feelings about the proposed boat display on Washington. It's actually on the Wharf One area parking lot, but the boat display is the gateway to the tunnel, Lighthouse Avenue in Cannery Row. We are a tourist town and it's something tourists see and also residents see. Monterey is so beautiful. We need to keep our historic icons beautiful. Please consider my project, even in times of strict budget balancing. Think of it as your home has a leaky roof. You have to fix it. So that was the public comment for that boat. And the only other thing is, as you leave the library today, take a look at the parklet or that park right next to the library as you go out towards Pacific Street. That's where they want to put the right there. Right there. So just take a look at that and envision what the submitter had planned for that area. And Reggie, thank you for putting the money and the complexity on these. Excellent. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you. There are no projects in Fisherman's Flats this year, no projects in Glenwood. And we have one nominated project in Monterey Vista, which is to infill a sidewalk at the corner of El Dorado and Moonrise Avenue. It's a low complexity project, somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000. And here's some photos of it.
So the submitter of this project is the hotel there, which is a business, and I guess you can discuss whether infilling is a new sidewalk or is maintenance of a sidewalk. But I asked the submitter to collect signatures, and he submitted the other day a list of about 8 signatures from neighbors around there. So there is some neighborhood support, but I'll let you know about priorities of neighborhoods later on.
Okay, Chair, that's it for the projects. So we're open for committee questions, right? Just questions.
So just clarifying questions, any committee?
I have one.
Okay, we'll start here and maybe go around. Okay.
For the boat replacement down by the wharf, can the boat be refurbished or does it have to be replaced?
This is a third boat and usually donated. So by the time they're donated to us, they're already 50, 60 years old. This one is literally falling apart and it has lead paint.
Okay.
Any questions? Scott, any questions? Okay, Lee.
My question to everyone is, does Monterey have no smoking on their beaches? I know Carmel does, but I don't know for Monterey if it's no smoking.
You mean legally?
Yeah. Carmel has an ordinance. Monterey has ordinances, but I don't know if we have one that says smoking, no smoking on the beach. Yes, no?
We're looking it up real quick.
Okay. Because if it's a,
I think that's it. If that's it for committee questions, we can go to public comment.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple questions. Last meeting, there was a discussion about Casa Nova Openall, the radar sign being bundled into the other multi-neighborhood project. Was there any follow-up with that?
I did not ask my submitter specifically that question. I don't think he'd have a problem with it being bundled. He just wants something done to help with the speed. So I don't think he'll have a problem with it being bundled.
And the,
but I can verify that.
thank you. And then the park renovations for Casanova Oaknall for staff, would this be something that would be bundled all together, meaning you would work on everything all at once, or would this be kind of piecemeal in terms of completion?
I mean, ideally, we would do it all at once. I mean, like, most of these items are relatively small. I think the court resurfacing, that's a larger project. It may be done separately, but things like, purchasing a trash receptacle and the gate and things like that be done at once.
Those are my questions.
Answer the question, Monterey City Code, section 22-29 does prohibit smoking in beaches.
It doesn't, it's
It does.
no smoking. So are there signs on the beaches or around the beach area for no smoking? Because that might be helpful along with having, so they'll dump the butts right at the sidewalk before they hit the beach.
Agree, that might be a good addition to the project. So if we're gonna have a place to put cigarette butts, we may want to sign,
Yeah.
not supposed to smoke. Something like that. It sounds confusing. But
All right, we're trying to keep it to questions, but I think we're getting into discussion.
It refers to the Hartnell Gulch enhancements. This has been an old project that's been kicking around for quite a few years. When it initially started a long time ago, I think the project was that there were going to be volunteers doing the work. Was this actually deemed not kind of kosher? Because could the project be like getting all the permits and then working with a volunteer coordinator to do the work? Or is that really not work from the city's point of view?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that question, but I'll give it my best shot. So, yes, my understanding is you're right. This project, it's specifically to remove invasive species and to plant native species. I know we do have volunteers that do other projects. We can get back to you on whether or not this is something that could be done with volunteers and I do know that public works staff, others in public works are looking at other avenues to do this work, but I'm not sure. I don't have enough information.
Okay, thanks.
Right, are there any other committee questions, clarifying questions? Go ahead, Dear Flex.
I don't want to sound like the Grinch to Casanova Oaknall, but is there any other precedent with other parks where they have an outdoor, again, I don't want to pour cold water on the applicant here, but for calisthenics areas outside? I mean, most of the time people go to the gym for that. I'm just curious.
So last cycle, we approved the project and recommended the city council for Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande. Very similar, and that's where I got the numbers from. So there isn't currently a park with this kind of well, I guess there's
That one's is in the project mix.
Yes. There are these like parkour course around Elistero Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of, like self-weight kind of, push-ups, pull-ups. These type of projects I'm looking at, they're more modern equipment. More like what you would see traditionally, say, in an indoor gym. But they have moving parts, but they don't have removable parts.
Okay, thank you.
And we do have one committee member online, so Committee Member Johnson, if you can speak.
She should be able to. She's muted, but.
Unmute. Hi.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question about the Del Monte Beach railings. I'm at the beach frequently, and I would like to know what type of railings did the submitter have in mind? The ones that just have those wire things between the upright posts, I don't think are very effective for people that need to put weight bearing as they go up the stairs. And I just had to practically carry somebody up those stairs just Tuesday, so yesterday, so because it's beautiful down there, and you know, they weren't able to go up the stairs, they needed assistance, and you know, pulling on the wiring was not a very effective. So just wanted to know what the plan was, what type of railings.
Well, okay, so whatever railing we put in would have to meet current building code. So I mean, there are requirements and specifications.
Okay, so those the drilled holes through the post with that kind of plastic covered wire going to the next post is not considered a railing?
No, that would,
Okay.
those cables are meant to prevent people from entering the dunes.
Okay, good.
That's not a railing.
Perfect. Okay, because yeah, I was concerned about that being a railing because it was not an effective railing. Okay, thank you.
Think, diagram I saw, think handrail. Stairway. Yeah.
Excellent.
And probably connected to the tie wall there.
Well, yeah, that's that we design, you know, we'd have to look into design and meet all, like I said, building requirements and all those sorts of things.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close committee questions and open for public comment. Those who are present here, if you could raise your hand if you'd like to make a public comment. Those online, please raise your hand. I have 8.
And 4 online.
Okay, so we have 8 here present and we have 4 online.
You have one more?
Oh, 9.
9.
Technically, we're limited to 15 minutes, but given the amount, we can do up to 2 minutes. Yeah.
So we'll do 2 minutes. So please come up and make your comment.
So we'll start in the chamber and then do online last.
Yes, we'll start in the chamber and then do on last. And just to make it a little easier, if you want to speak, do you mind just standing up and kind of lining up just so you can keep a better tally of how many are next and here?
See, you could be mayor.
I don't want to be mayor.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna and I'm a part of the TAB community here at the library. Although I live in Carmel, I come out here often because I love this space so much. I want to give everyone a big thank you for letting me be able to speak today. I've spent a lot of my time in the library studying, reading, and meeting friends, and sometimes just finding a quiet corner to breathe. Over time, it's become a place I can really depend on. It's where I've grown, learned, and felt connected to people in this community. That's why I care so much about these proposals. First, I would like to bring up the ADA upgrades. This library building has opened in 1952 and hasn't had a major renovation in more than 40 years, which you can really feel when you walk past. I've seen people struggle with restrooms that aren't easy to navigate and are not ADA compliant, with heavy doors and stairways that simply can't work for everyone. A public library should be welcoming to every member of the community, no matter their abilities. When someone can't comfortably use a restroom or reach a drinking fountain, it sends a message, even if it's unintentional, that the space wasn't designed with them in mind. Updating these features isn't just about meeting legal requirements. It's about dignity, inclusion, and making sure that every person who walks in the store knows that they belong here. Another part of the proposal focuses on improving archival storage in the California History Room. A lot of people my age don't realize just how much of our local history is preserved right here, like photographs, letters, maps, and irreplaceable documents. These materials matter a lot, not to just scholars, but people trying to understand how important Monterey is. If we don't upgrade, we can risk losing pieces of our history that can't be recreated. There's also the topic of community resilience. Over the past few winters, a lot of people come here for warmth, charging their phones, or even bring medications here. This is why the idea of a permanent generator and making the community room more accessible during outages isn't just practical, it can acknowledge what the library already is, a place of stability during uncertain times. So supporting this proposal isn't just about updating an old building, it's about being prepared for the unexpected and allowing people to feel welcome here, like for the rest of the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Robin Domiter, and I would like to ask, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but how many of you here have a library card? And do you use the library frequently, like you check out books? Well, my library card is so old that it could have been put into a glass case with archival information. I mean, every once in a while when I use it, they look at it and go, oh, I haven't seen one of these in a long time. So the library is very important to our community. And I'm a volunteer here. I'm one of the basement girls downstairs, so we receive books that have been donated by people in our community, other communities around here. And what we do with those books is try to make money for the library in any possible way that we can.
Can you please speak into the mic so we can all hear you?
I'm sorry. It's not normally in front of a microphone. Anyway, we try to make as much money as possible for the library. And we have quite a wonderful staff that's there that's helping us. Plus, we also provide free books throughout the community here, different stations where people can come and get a book and take it home or whatever. When you look at the library, it's really what we have upstairs. It's a piece of the puzzle of our community. Our community is a small community. It's interrelated with people. Today, I ran into 5 people that I haven't seen in a long time in a variety of places in Monterey. So the puzzle of the library, this piece is basically, it's not just books. It's also.
Thank you. That is your time. Thank you for your comment.
You're kidding. No? Okay.
Thank you.
I can pick up where she left off. My name is Carla Federo-Sullivan, and I'm here for the Public Library Friends and Foundation. And but tonight I'm coming to talk to you from 30 years of experience in the museum industry to talk a little bit about why critical infrastructure is so important for artifacts, for collections, for preservation. And the infrastructure aspect part of the library proposal is the how. It's the how, it's the what, it's that important climate control, separating delicate paper from technical items, from photographs, from manuscripts, from the different things that the library is so good to provide for the community at that sort of museum archival collection level. And the reason it's important is the why. The why is that those are not just infrastructure items, photographs, there are stories, there are history, there are community collective information that we are in charge of preserving and sharing. And once upon a time, we could put in an IMLS grant for the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which was a fabulous federal grant for keeping infrastructure sexy, right? And like, we just need the stuff so that we can do our work. That's not part of our federal framework anymore. So I think the more we can invest locally in how we tell our own stories, how we preserve our own heritage, allows us to sort of keep at bay people that are gladly going to step in and do that work for us if we don't do it for ourselves. So thank you so much for considering our proposal.
See, I brought my notes. Because there's so many important things, didn't want to forget even one. So this does unfold and I dropped it, but that's what it was supposed to be. At any rate, my name is Bob Petty. I'm currently a trustee on the board of the library, but I've been coming to the library for a lot longer than I've been a trustee, although I've been a trustee for over 10 years now. And before that, I had the responsibility of serving on this committee. Representing my neighborhood back when it was just called the NIP, not NCIP. And, you know, at the time, it often felt to me like there was one neighborhood kind of in competition with another neighborhood. But now we have the community, and where are we? We're in the community room, for crying out loud. And to be able to support the community is now just as important as supporting many of these really interesting projects that are more neighborhood related. So I think we have the responsibility to find support for both the community and for individual projects. And you have a lot of data. You're going to hear about the need just to be compliant with the law for ADA purposes. For Carla just talked about, we need to preserve and store and maintain all the historic items and artifacts that we have. One statistic you don't have yet, I bet, unless you've read the agenda packet for the Board of Trustees of the library meetings, and I hardly get to do that. So I bet reporting period in statistics that we received, and this would be from June of 2024 through July of this year. There were over 130,000 visitors. That does not include online visitors, doesn't include, website. I know, I'm just about done. And that is about 10,000 more than the previous 12-month period. So 130,000 people in person.
That's your time though.
Doesn't include the bookmobile either. So this is truly a community proposal, and I would be very proud to support the community as well as the neighborhoods.
Sorry, that is your time.
So-
Thank you.
Okay, oh, you were talking about a lot of permission and stuff like that. You have my permission. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Delormier, and I sit on the Board of Trustees also. I live in the Alta Mesa neighborhood, and but I know all library users and supporters from all of your neighborhoods. The library was built in 1952 and expanded in 1984. Joya did an amazing job of laying out that it's been 41 years since then, since the last renovation. And there's only been very basic maintenance. And that approach has caught up with us now. And the bare bones proposal that you have before you is only some of the most urgent needs. As a member of the Board of Trustees, it's our responsibility to see to the care of this facility so that it can meet the needs of all of Monterey. And we are proud of the library collections, the many diverse programs, the dedication of our staff, the happy faces we get to see every day. The pride in the building and how it's cared for and how long-term plans are executed is the bigger challenge for us. And it's complicated in this budget era. So we really hope that we will support this proposal at Sure. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Marcia Moreau. I'm in the New Monterey neighborhood. And I just want to tell you, I was a founding faculty member at CSU Monterey Bay. And when we planned our library, we decided we wouldn't have a library. It would be online, virtual, digital library. We were going to be cutting edge and it was going to be wonderful. And one of the first buildings that was built on that campus was the library. And it became the community hub for the whole campus because this is what you need. So in our city, the story's kind of the same. Our library is a community hub, provides a gathering place for intellectual discovery and ideas for all ages, from toddlers to teens to adults to seniors. And I just want to read you two quotes from former presidents of the United States. First one is, at the dawn of the 21st century, where knowledge is literally power, where it unlocks the gates of opportunity and success, we all have responsibilities as parents, as librarians, as educators, as politicians, and as citizens to instill in our children a love of reading so that we can give them a chance to fulfill their dreams. And how better to do that than a library? And that was Barack Obama. And here's another former president. in my opinion, right up there with free public schools, our free public library system is what makes citizenship possible, even what makes America great. Thank you.
After that.
Hello, my name is Amit. I'm the applicant for a concrete sidewalk adjacent to 900 Monterey Avenue. Absence of the concrete sidewalk, there's lack of accessibility for wheelchair users. Without a sidewalk, there's no safe or accessible path for the individuals using wheelchairs or other mobility aids. Inconsistent AD compliance. There is a ADA ramp at the intersection of El Dorado and Hindress, but the absence of the sidewalk adjacent to it renders the ramp ineffective. The hotel on the Monterey Avenue have tourists all around the year with the families and the kids. And they walk to the downtown from the hotel, but especially during the rainy season, it's not safe for the kids to walk on a sidewalk, without a concrete sidewalk. On top of that, El Dorado has a women's center, a lot of medical facilities. There's a bus stop there. So a lot of people coming to those facilities, I've seen them either using the road or cutting through the parking lot just because of the absence of the sidewalk. So I think it's important to have it. Entire El Dorado Street has a sidewalk, except that small patch, El Dorado. There has never been any sidewalk there. So, thank you.
I'm Karen Brown, 25 years at the Monterey Public Library and New Monterey area neighborhood. I worked with Rudy Rosales, past chairman of Boshen, Ohlone Post-Nolan Excellent Nation. And as a child in 1956, lost his life as he knew it and his knowledge of heritage changed forever when he was forced to leave Dutra Street, the last indigenous village in Monterey. A woman who was a child then expressed her grief to me this year with tears that she had lost her language as a result of the end of that village. Our city council too expressed grief and determination to do something more than their proclamation of apology. That's why Rudy Philip Laverty, tribal historian, and I worked on this proposal for a park, DT 13, I believe it is, to honor the Dutra Street ancestors and those who are working on their history and culture. Last time I mostly talked about what it would look like, a vision of it. This time I want to suggest to you more reasons for funding the park. Of course, it's the ethical thing for us to do. It's also strategic, practical. The city council has expressed their wishes for something more. It's also a beautiful thing to do in the middle of understandable, necessary, and yet not very visible projects. This one will shine like a star, a beautiful enhancement to our whole city. Other parks have been made in the early years of the NIP. This little park will connect us with that NIP past, Monterey's problematic past, with a hopeful future for Dutra Street descendants and the NCIP. And I wanted to let you know I have the report and the proclamation for anyone who would like it and answer questions.
Hello, my name is Christian Schmidt. I'll make it under the 2 minutes. I 50+ year resident and a parks commissioner the last 6 years. I was handed this list. It's a long list. You guys have your work cut out for you. I'd probably simply say, stay focused on things that have been here as long as they have focus on the things that we want to keep going. Maybe not lose focus of the newest things, even though we always want to make new things and create new things. I wish I had better advice to simplify the tasks that you guys have, but I'm definitely gonna advocate for things like Hilltop Phase 2. It's pretty obvious that we've done Phase 1, let's do Phase 2. Let's make it all the way through. Yeah, that'd be simply that. Just focus on what we have and try to make that our number one goal. Keep those going. Thank you.
That's nice.
Good to be again. And so the first thing I want to ask is just, we could talk about later, but is DG something the city still does? I know in the past when I've asked about it, it was kind of like, we don't do DG anymore. So I just want to put that out there. But what I really wanted to say was I completely support the library as a fairly new resident to Monterey. And my husband, we have lived in San Jose for over 30 years. So when I moved down to Monterey, it's like, what the heck is Monterey about? So little, and where do you go? The library is actually a real convening place. It's a place where you can go, whether you're a child or learning to read, or an adult that's new to a place and just needs to feel like something is familiar around you. And it is a hub. I mean, it's a hub of knowledge. It's a place where people can find out about themselves and about other people. And in a community, I think if something needs to be sustained and built besides the police and fire, of course, it is the library. So I just wanted to put that 2 cents out there.
Okay, so we'll move to online.
Okay, Esther, you should be able to speak.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for doing all this. I know it's very time consuming. I wanted to point out a couple of things. You mentioned my project or the project at Laguna Grande Park with the workout equipment. You may recall that I have spoken about this in the past, even though the project has been funded. I'm prepared for it to be defunded. And I have already been working on and getting commitments from alternative funding sources to do a project like this. So in the current times that we are in fiscally, we have to remember what's nice to have and what we need to have. Need to have are safety and ADA related. And nice to have are quite a few of these other projects. And even though some of them are only a couple of $1,000s, a couple of $1,000s add up to a lot. And those projects can wait, just like my project can wait. But I also want to encourage you guys to pressure staff, because Solacito Park, they went to the community foundation and got $500,000 to do that park and another park. My side of the city, we have 2 parks, Kona and Laguna Grande Park, that have projects that we would like them to pay attention to and go to get some funding for us for our projects as well. And lastly, I'd like to say that projects should be considered also in how many people are going to benefit from them. So a project like the library, the community is going to benefit from it. If certain beach projects, a lot of people are going to benefit from it, versus 1 or 2 streets or a couple of residents that are going to benefit, and they can wait a little longer, in my opinion, until the fiscal emergency is passed. Thank you.
Robert, Yoha, you should be able to speak.
Hello, this is Robert Yohe. I live on Euclid Avenue, across from the park, and I've been an active member of Kona ever since we, I guess, funded the community room at the library. I'd like to speak in Esther's direction on public safety. We have a couple of projects that truly relate to public safety, and Shelley has confirmed that the existing radar signs on Casanova are reaching the end of their life. They're going intermittent. Same as the original radar signs on Airport Drive went intermittent, and we replaced them 2 years ago. If perhaps Shelley could make a request to engineering to see if the batteries are going out, or is it circuitry? And the reason why I'm asking this, if you please fund these radar signs, we've already had 2 fatalities from speeding on Casanova. What's the cost of 2 human lives? The cost of 2 radar signs are much less. The second one I would like to address and support are the gates for the park and the bathroom lights. Euclid Avenue is a cross street from North Fremont, and I'm afraid some small child is going to run through where the gate should be and get run over on Euclid Avenue. What's the cost of a small child? Also, the bathroom lighting is a deplorable, same as the human fountain next to the bathrooms. We could replace that old human water fountain with one for humans and dogs, probably less costly than replacing that old decrepit drinking fountain next to the bathrooms. And lastly, the garbage cans. We truly need 2 large receptacles near the group picnic area in Casanova Oak Knoll Park. It's a heavily used park, and by keeping the park clean, it stays clean. When people see trash, they litter. So please, if you could fund the trash cans, a human and a dog water bowl, the radar signs, and gates to keep kids out of the streets. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, Tom Reeves, you should be able to speak.
Yes, thank you. Quick rundown here. AM1 Lagunitas Mirada dredging. This is really an unavoidable expense. This isn't just an aesthetic issue. That pond actually serves as a sedimentation basin for Lake El Estero. So if that plugs up, it'll flood Fremont. So you really need to seriously think about that. Downtown 1 barrier railing at Hartnell Gulch. This addresses a very serious public danger to pedestrians, especially young kids who could fall off of that. And, it's about 10 feet down. And potentially it could be combined with MN1, which is a very similar project that we'll discuss next time around. Downtown 8, the Old Fisherman's Wharf boat display. I think the Wharf Association should be approached, and we should get some feedback from them as to whether or not they would partner on that item. Downtown 10, the Dennis the Menace statue. It could be that it's a different alternative material could be used. You could use the bronze one as a master and then make a mold from it, and then perhaps even cast it out of concrete. That would probably be the easiest thing to do, or maybe fiberglass. Downtown 2 and Downtown 13, which both address Hartnell Creek. I think there's an overlap there potentially, so it's probably an either or between those two. And then sadly, as much as I agree with Downtown 13, it seems to have huge maintenance cost implications. MV2, yes, that sidewalk needs to be completed. I've walked past there numerous times. The issue I see here, though, it's commercial, and it might be a violation of the city code to use public funds there. And it'd be good to get a ruling from the city attorney on that. And I think those are my comments, and enjoy your Thanksgiving.
And the last public comment is Peter Egan. Peter, you should be able to speak.
Hi, good evening, committee members. I am with Big Sur Land Trust, and I am commenting on behalf of Downtown 01. Our office is at 509 Hartnell Street, which is on the west side of Hartnell Gulch. And most days in our office, someone observes someone climbing on the barrier railings. Typically, it's children. And, while I respect and understand the complexity that's been identified to the project, I would also ask that there be consideration in terms of risk and safety, right? I think I firmly believe that if you would plug this into a risk matrix, that you would find that there's high probability for occurrence and also high consequence for serious injury. Thank you.
And Chair, one other person has raised their hand, but it was after you had requested.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close public comment and open it up for discussions with NCIP committee members. Are there any comments?
Would just like to echo what's been stated in line that, and this year with the unique situation we're in, trying to minimize adding a whole bunch of new projects when we have the backlog and the structural deficit issues we're dealing with. So hard numbers, but my general approach would be each neighborhood among your list to maybe one or two per neighborhood, unless they are, as mentioned, public safety issues, like the railing at the beach, and things like that. And then supporting the citywide, like the library and other issues that the city council and that the public are asking for. But that's generally going to be my approach for voting night, is prioritizing in that way. Thanks.
Any other discussion?
I totally agree with the comments. I grew up from Deer Flats. I would like to hear more on the sedimentation about for the Lagunitas Pond, as that is not an aesthetic thing. And so I don't know if Shannon can address that and when the appropriate time to get their comments would be.
Chair, if you would like, yeah, we can have the parks come up and they can give us some feedback on the lake.
Yeah, that's fine. Come on, please.
So the block dredging project, basically finished because we reached the limit of the material we were allowed to remove. It wasn't that it was done ineffectively, it was just we took out as much material as we could. And that was also very problematic because we had to take it up to Ryan Ranch, let it dry out, and then we can haul it away. So it adds a lot of complexity. Plus there's permits for state water resources, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and USACE, which that's me.
Army Corps of Engineers.
So there's a lot of the other challenges. It looks like we have to do the work between a very specific amount of time, September to October 15th. So that means all of those permits need to be lined up well in advance, which take quite a bit of time. Yes, it's something that we could do and with support, but there's also potential to go in and remove invasive species and do some native plants. But yes, it is going to be an ongoing project for staff to do, but it will be expensive.
Can you comment on the sedimentation and flooding issue?
So it will accumulate. It is a holding pond and it increases the potential of flooding for El Estero, but I don't know if it's reached the point where it has to be done immediately. And there's a lot of different things where we've got multiple areas of water besides Lagunitas Romana that product that potentially all kind of flow into El Estero. So I don't know that it's at the point that it has to be addressed immediately.
Anyone else for committee discussion?
Just a quick perspective on the budget, and I do realize the city is dealing with some kind of structural budget deficit, and then the NCIP funds are part of the whole picture, but what I understand is that these funds come from transient occupancy taxes from visitors to the area, and that originally the money was voted on by citizens of Monterey to say, well, yeah, we have a lot more visitors, but this tax could go back into improving your city and kind of mitigating the impact of all this tourism. So I just think that should be a big part of our voting too. A lot of these projects, like the library, seem really, really important as a community center. It's like, yeah, that really should merit our consideration. And then you kind of go down the line and some of the other projects seem smaller and less, maybe more frivolous, if you will. However, I do think we're representing our neighborhoods. So that is kind of a piece, and there is a big budget issue, I understand. But the other hand, just as important, is our community, is our neighborhood, and what's important to them. Because they didn't really create a budget deficit. Like, I know it's an issue and it's got to be solved. But, so a lot of these projects really make the communities a better place to be. So.
Anyone else for discussion? No. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close committee member discussion. Oh, sorry, we do have.
Just perhaps a follow-up comment. Sometimes it sounds, I understand the original intent and that the dollars should go to the neighborhoods, but the deficit to the city is all of us. That isn't, that includes the neighborhood. So it's not an isolated problem of the city. It's also a problem of everyone in this room and everyone citywide. Making, I think, being asked to make some contribution to helping solve that problem is a reason.
We'll go ahead and close committee member discussion and move on to committee member comments. Does anyone have any additional comments before we close?
Yeah.
Okay. So our next meeting is.
Oh, sorry, Chair. We do have one person raise their hand online. Committee member Tipton, you can go ahead and speak.
Sorry, my mouse was dyslexic. Sorry about that. So, Reggie, can you send out a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation? I think that would be very helpful for all of us. I would appreciate that. And everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay, now we can close comments. So our next meeting is November 19th, 2025, and we.
That's today.
Oh,
Next meeting is December 10th.
December 10th, thank you.
I was gonna say, we got.
I'm a time traveler, actually. So I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 7:31. Thank you, everyone.
This meeting.
Everybody have a nice day.